Welcome to our 11th Lunch and Learn session in the Teacher Boarded Classroom series from the Educational Service Center of Northeast Ohio. What is the Teacher Boarded Classroom exactly? It's a term I accidentally created in 2015 when postulating that in a 21st century classroom, students should look more like free-range chickens and teachers should look more like chicken farmers, guiding, observing, and moving around the perimeter, but basically letting the flock do what it was meant to do. In this case, letting students explore learning instead of having learning being something that's done to them. Or if you prefer a sports metaphor, think about the teacher boarded classroom this way. Does the coach carry the ball across the goal line for his players or single handedly improve the times of her swimmers? Of course not. We all lace up our own shoes and do the work in real life, and the same should hold true in our classrooms. I'm Stephanie DeMichael. I've spent 24 years developing new ways to do old things, and the last 7 years supporting teachers as they've shouldered that task too. That doesn't make me an expert by any stretch of the imagination. I've simply witnessed enough teachers trying to break free of teacher centered learning, and I've been lucky enough to help them and to learn from them. In addition to supporting teachers, I've also been keenly observing the recent events that have thrown our profession into chaos, researching the questions what worked, what didn't, and more importantly, what did we learn to do better moving forward? In 2021, this Lunch and Learn series focused on blended learning strategies, and I encourage you to visit my YouTube channel if you're interested in starting there. In 2022, however, the plan is to examine ideas successfully endorsed by educators all over the country, and that is the idea of the EduProtocol, instructional lesson frames designed to engage students in learning through critical thinking, collaboration, communication, and creativity, which perfectly aligns with the mission of creating a teacher-boarded classroom. With regard to all things EduProtocols related, I must give credit to Marlena Hebern and John Carippo, the creators and authors, and today's go-to experts. Let's get started. Again, an EduProtocol is simply a framework that can be used in all content areas and all grade levels. Its adaptability makes it a perfect tool to apply to your teacher-boarded classroom. This week, we'll explore the idea of the Great American Race EduProtocol. In popular culture, the Great American Race usually conjures up images of the Indy 500 or the Daytona 500, fast and focused. Similarly, the Great American Race Protocol, first developed by media specialist Ben Johnson, allows for a classroom environment that puts students in the driver's seat, racing for information and trying to cross the finish line first. Here's how it works. In this activity, student teams anonymously contribute facts, information, or vocabulary to a slide as part of a shared class deck. Then, in the second half of the activity, teams race to identify each slide based on the clues provided. For example, let's say students are learning about the 50 states. Each team will create individual slides with clues or hints directly related to that particular state. After the whole slide deck is complete, students then race to determine the state for each slide. Ideally, this Edu protocol works best with information that directly refers to a title or a name. That is, the periodic table, the states, or the amendments of the Constitution. Use it to introduce a new unit of study, to support investigations, to learn about something new, or as a review of previously learned material. So, for example, when I used to introduce Romeo and Juliet to my ninth graders, I frequently provided a teacher-created lecture-driven introduction to Shakespeare, Verona, tragedies, etc. If I had that same opportunity today, however, I definitely use this Edu protocol instead. Now, full disclosure, this does require some prep work on your end, but it's totally worth it in the long run. And here's how it works. After making the decision as to the content to be explored, you will distribute 3x5 cards to your student teams. It really does work best for students to collaborate on this. On one side of the card is a number corresponding to a numbered slide in the slide deck. On the other is the answer or topic to be researched and created. Remind teams to keep their cards hidden from the others. Next, Teams find their matching slide number in the slide deck and design it with clues or hints about their topic. Then, once the entire slide deck is complete, those teams now must communicate silently via a shared document in which they attempt to research and answer the clues presented in the slides of the other teams. Again, they do not talk during this process. They communicate through the shared document chat, and comment features. If it helps, you might consider having the team sit across the room from each other as they race to make their informed guesses. For step 5, a Google form is recommended. 1, because it timestamps the order in which teams complete the challenge, and 2, because team guesses are then recorded. Depending on how familiar students are with the topic, you can consider write-in questions, which are the most difficult, select from a drop-down menu, or select from 3 or 4 multiple choices. In fact, making the Google form a self-grading quiz makes it even easier on you and provides instant feedback to students. This powerful activity, both fun and highly engaging, allows students to take ownership of their learning. Hey, a teacher-boarded classroom. And making it a game is the icing on the cake. The key to this EduProtocol is to step back and facilitate learning. Remember that students should be in the driver's seat for this one. It's important to encourage communication and evidence gathering, so a doc is pretty important for the second part of this activity. Some teachers like to provide guided resources for both creation and for making informed guesses, so it's not a bad idea to have those on hand instead of having students simply Google the answers. Also, it's a pretty good idea for the teacher to both proof the final submission and to set the privileges on the slide deck to view only once it's been completed. No more editing. If it helps, introduce a model for students to follow, like a template. And actually, I've got plenty of those to share with you coming up. Speaking of, let's take a look at some templates I've created for you to use in your own classroom. So, as I mentioned, it's always nice to provide an example if it's your first time, to provide an example for students to model. Also, I'm just going to share this with you right now to give you a more visual example of how the Great American Race works. This is an example created by the students of Adam Moeller. He shared it on the web and I found it, and I want to give him full credit. So, in studying the Renaissance, all right, so let's imagine the kiddos were given their 3 by 5 cards with the number and the topic. Um, and then what they have to do, and it's timed, so you'll want to time this because you don't want to give them too much time. It's fast and furious. Remember, this is a race. So, given their topic, they have to go ahead and create their slide decks with clues. They're not naming anything. All they're doing is usually putting up an image and 3 to 4 to 5 bullet points. So here are some examples of Adam's students. And you'll see they all look a little bit different because this was timed and they are under a time limit. And here you go. All right, and there are 15 slides in this slide deck. So that's the last one. So that's an example of what it looks like as the students create it. And then what happens once they've been submitted and the teacher locks it, then each team is given a little guessing doc. And you can push this through Google Classroom or your learning management system, whatever it might be. And students then in their teams have to guess what is being shown in each of those slides. Now they're not talking because this is, you don't want to give away answers or have another team pick up on it. So students will all have the same, student teams have the same doc and they can communicate, directly in the doc. They can put their first idea of who it might be and maybe put a question, and then another student on the team might use the comment feature. You know, why do you think that? Evidence, they're using critical thinking, they're learning to question each other. They could also use the chat feature up here if they wanted to do that. It's fine, go ahead and for them to go ahead and start working on that and getting all of their evidence. And then once they think they've got all of the squares filled in the guessing doc, they'll go ahead and fill out a Google form created by you. So let's take a look at some of these templates. This is a template I created for elementary school students. It's got, topic, and you can delete any of these slides. You can customize the slide deck as you see fit. Here's an example of all the instructions. And again, you can go ahead once the slide deck is created, delete these 3 slides, and then you'll have, as you can see here, all of the slides for students to complete. You can delete these or simply duplicate. All you got to do is right click and you can hit duplicate slide. Create as many as you need for your students. And I also have created a guessing doc for this elementary school example that you can, again, customize and push out to your students. I have here a Great American Race template for middle school and high school. Same thing. You got an introductory slide, the topic, some the directions, and then all of these slides here on the side that you can customize as you would like. And again, here is another guessing doc that I've created that you are, don't reinvent the wheel. I've done it for you. So just, feel free. It's in template form. You can customize it as you see fit. Just for fun, I created, and this is in the Wake, all of this information, by the way, is in a Wakelet board that I've created for you, and it's linked down below in the comments. But if you want to have some fun and test your knowledge and see how it works from the student side of things, I've got a quiz here in Google Forms on the Renaissance, those slides we just saw. So if you want to test yourself, why not go ahead and try it? It's fine. It's a quiz. You'll get you'll get your answers right away. You'll see that I've created a drop-down menu. I find that sometimes helps make it easier and faster for students to go ahead and do that. So you can fill that out if you want. All of those things are in the Wakelet board if you need it. And I've also included in the Wakelet board, for those of you who might be elementary school teachers who maybe think, oh, I don't know if this is going to work for my kids. Here's an example of a teacher. And unfortunately, I don't have, there was no source material for it, so I don't know who created this. It was on the web, and so I'm just sharing it with you. You'll notice that this is just about vocabulary, and what this teacher did here provided directions within each slide. And this teacher also provided a link where students could find a student-friendly website to find the information that they needed. So if that helps, I hope it does. All of this information is there for you, and you can certainly reach out if you have any questions as to how it works. And there you have it, a teacher-bordered alternative to sharing knowledge. No more direct instruction. EduProtocols allow you to let students explore and to be a very present part of their own learning because it allows you to do what you do best, and that's be the supportive coach. And because this is a lunch and learn, I always like to share out lunch ideas for teachers that are healthy and generally easy. If you're like me and you love food, and if you are like me and sometimes go overboard with food, and if you maybe need a wee reset to your system, this detox chicken soup recipe with vitamin C rich kale and lemon juice, inflammation battling mushrooms, metabolism boosting protein, and antioxidant packed garlic is such a healthy and hearty approach that puts that cabbage soup detox to shame. The link is in the Wakelet board down below in the comments. And finally, if you need anything or have any questions, the first link connects you to my socials, so feel free to reach out. I do offer free online coaching and a ton of other micro professional development for educators. Feel free to share this video at your next faculty meeting. Why not? The second link connects you to my Wakelet board with the links that we discussed today, including customizable Great American Race EduProtocol templates. Please share them far and wide, and I am always here to help. I'm Stephanie DeMichael. It has been an absolute pleasure to be here with you for this week's Lunch and Learn. Good luck with your teacher-boarded classroom, and I'll see you